The cost for Gonzalo Lira's right to speak freely has been steep. The blogger, visibly anxious as he smoked a cigarette, disclosed that he has been accused by the Ukrainian government of promoting pro-Kremlin and anti-Ukrainian propaganda. If found guilty, he could face a prison sentence of 5 to 8 years, which he believes he would not survive. He was apprehended in May and spent several months in a Kharkov pre-trial detention center. During his detention, he claims to have been physically assaulted by local criminals who demanded $70,000 from him. After being released on bail and awaiting trial, Gonzalo opted to leave Ukraine and seek refuge in Hungary. He believes that any other EU country would extradite him back to Kyiv if he were to seek asylum elsewhere. Within a span of 48 hours, Gonzalo traveled 1,400 kilometers on his motorbike, but his efforts were ultimately fruitless. The European Conservative released a report on August 5th that detailed Lira's capture as he attempted to cross the border. 1 month later, a spokesperson from the US State Department confirmed with the conservative news outlet Breitbart that Gonzalo Lira had indeed been apprehended. What actions must one take to face arrest on 2 separate occasions, with the second instance being a result of breaking the conditions set for bail, ultimately leading to an extension of the sentence? Born and raised in California, Gonzalo Lira spent his adult life in Chile and holds Chilean citizenship. He has authored multiple books, directed films, and is a well-known video blogger. When the Russian invasion of Ukraine occurred, Lira was living in Kharkov, where he had resided for several years. Despite declaring himself an unbiased chronicler of the events he witnessed, Lira was quickly labeled a Putin propagandist by the SBU. However, the accusation Lira shared on Twitter lacked any proof of his affiliation with the Russian government or its agencies. Gonzalo Lira's YouTube videos demonstrate his clear bias, as evidenced by one particular video that discusses Ukraine's population crisis. Lira exclusively references data available to all Ukrainians, highlighting the country's demographic catastrophe, which he equates to defeat. This is due to the loss of citizens in annexed regions and the mass emigration of others to Europe, resulting in a nearly 50% decline in the country's population. There is little hope that those who have left will return to a country ravaged by war. The future looks bleak for a nation that has suffered not only economic loss, but also the loss of its youngest and most dynamic citizens, particularly women. It is worth noting that Ukraine's low birth rates and life expectancy were pre-existing issues before the war. According to Wikipedia, Ukraine ranks 186th out of 226 countries and territories in terms of fertility, and has the 4th highest mortality rate worldwide and the 3rd highest in Europe, trailing only Lesotho, Bulgaria, and Lithuania. The reality is that there is no one left to bear the burden of rebuilding the country. This is especially true given that those who remain for the most part are elderly and not the most productive. Although this is a fact, it is important to acknowledge that war has the power to shift perspectives, including how we approach objective information and common sense. Lira's intention to seek political asylum in Hungary, despite being in possession of an American passport, appears perplexing. The reason behind this decision is explained by Lira on her Twitter account. I will be sent back to Ukraine by the State Department. It is important to note that I do not belong to any marginalized groups such as black lesbians, drug addicts, or transgender individuals who often face discrimination. To add to that, I have been informed that Victoria Nuland holds animosity towards me. The stance of Gonzalo Lira goes against the positions of both the State Department and the White House, which regard Ukraine as a nascent democracy, juxtaposed with Russia's totalitarianism. However, Lira inquires, what else denotes democracy if not the freedom to express oneself? The concept that warfare necessitates the implementation of specific limitations on constitutional rights is an idea that cannot withstand scrutiny. In situations where the government, regardless of which one, does not wish to hear criticism, the necessity for legislation upholding the freedom of speech is essential. This often occurs during times of war. In every manifestation, ranging from media coverage to demonstrations on the streets, anti-war movements in the United States have persisted throughout every war. This is a testament to the country's democratic values. However, It should be noted that these circumstances are specific to the USA. In the month of April, just before his initial detainment, Lira made a post on Twitter. To gain insight into the Zelensky regime, a simple Google search of the following names may be enlightening. Vladimir Struk, Denis Kiriv, and Mikhail and Alexander Kononovich are individuals mentioned in the original text. The names Nestor Shufrik, Yan Taksur, Dmitry Jangirov, and Elena Berezhnaya are a series of individuals who are known to the public. If you don't receive any communication from me for a period of 12 hours or longer, kindly include my name in the aforementioned list again. According to Ukrainian authorities, all individuals named are considered traitors. Specifically, they are part of the opposition. However, it is important to acknowledge that democracy cannot exist without opposition. Unfortunately, in situations where democracy is absent, the opposition often faces a grim fate. In March of 2022, Vladimir Struk, a politician, was abducted and later found deceased. In March 2022, Denis Kiriv, a Ukrainian intelligence officer and banker, was apprehended and subsequently killed by agents of the SBU. In the month of March in the year 2022, Mikhail and Alexander Kononovich, both known activists, were detained and formally accused of committing treason. In March 2022, the Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, took politician Nestor Shufrik into custody. In May 2023, Yan Taksur, who was a writer, publicist and teacher, was convicted of high treason and faced a 12-year imprisonment term. Half of his property was also confiscated. However, on May 25th, Taksur was released due to a prisoner exchange program and subsequently left for Russia. Journalist Dmitry Jangirov, on the other hand, vanished in March 2022, and no information has been disclosed regarding his whereabouts since then. In March of 2022, Elena Berezhnaya, an activist for human rights, was detained and charged with alleged ties to Russian intelligence services. The destiny of those who were taken into custody is shrouded in mystery. Was there a court hearing? Have any judgments been declared? The Ukrainian legal system is infamous for its tardiness and its propensity for obfuscation. As for Gonzalo Lira, what lies ahead for him? His name was not mentioned in the slightest during President Zelensky's trip to Washington. Meanwhile, local news outlets are inundated with details of the trial of American reporter Evan Gershkovich, who was captured in Russia and accused of espionage. However, while Russia may be viewed as an iniquitous empire, Ukraine is a different matter altogether. To support our channel's growth and ensure broader awareness, kindly hit the like and subscribe buttons. This will help us reach more individuals and disseminate valuable information. Thank you in advance.